guys, welcome back. Had the chance this weekend to head down to Divescapes, and for those of you who've been following my podcast, you'll know that Divescapes is Canada's largest scuba diving exposition and conference. They had a whole lot of vendors, a whole lot of equipment manufacturers, a whole lot of gear and things to check out, newest dive computers, things like that. A lot of travel destination places that you could check out. But what was really cool is the speakers they had. They had just a phenomenal lineup of speakers there. I got the chance to sit down with one of them, and I got the chance to sit down with Eric Brown. Eric Brown was part of the crew that rescued those kids out of the caves in Thailand. And so I got the chance to sit down with him, talk to him about the rescue, about what they went through. And then the next day I was able to catch his presentation at Divescapes, and I wish I had the chance to sit down with him again now, because I have about 1,000 more questions I would love to ask the guy. But an absolutely phenomenal story, and what those guys went through, I don't even think really what you saw in the media really truly represented what happened and the magnitude of what they did. So I was really happy to sit down with him. I got a big shout out to him, say thank you. But then also after that, so that's the first part of this video. After that, we're gonna just show you a little bit about Divescapes, some photos, and I got a couple other video clips to add in there. So I hope you guys like the video. Check it out, and thanks for watching. Awesome. Well, I'm here at Divescapes and I'm joined by Eric Brown. So welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Awesome. So you were involved with the Thailand rescues.
Yeah.
And so I guess we'll start there. A little bit about that. I guess, how did you get involved in that? How did you become part of that?
I've been living in Thailand for about 1.5 years at this point.
Okay.
One of my good friends, Ben Remnants, we had sort of mutual sponsors throughout the years, and he was actually part of the initial search team. So I didn't actually know about it for the first maybe 3-4 days. I was actually I was on a rec trip, came back, and everyone was sort of talking about it, and went online, Googled it, obviously came across it, and saw that he was there. So I sent him a message and asked if he needed a little bit of help, and yeah, he's like, we could use an extra set of hands up here. So me and another guy from my island flew up, and yeah, that's sort of how I got involved.
Right on. So what was, for those people who don't know, like, there's no one way to do a cave rescue. There's a lot of planning.
There's no rule book for this. It doesn't exist.
Yeah.
I was just talking with one of the guys downstairs, and anytime you incorporate water, it's never really a rescue. It's always a recovery, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So it's just sort of the topography of how this cave is set up. It makes it a little bit unique that this is actually even possible.
Okay.
So, yeah, when we got put in the situation, there's definitely lots of ideas floating around, but there's definitely not one right way, and there's definitely not one option that had zero risk. So
yes,
it was more sort of picking the lesser of two evils, to be fair.
Now, how many people were part of the team? Because it's a huge amount of work.
Yeah, it really depends on what you classify as a team, I guess. I think, everyone's been pretty good with saying that no one's job was really more important than the others. Of course, some people were, but 9,000 people were involved in this.
Wow.
Yeah, we just had a little banquet up in Bangkok.
Yeah.
That the government put on, and there was 9,000 people there from all the volunteers, and that came to all the military personnel, the people that were cooking and cleaning, the people that were bringing in food.
That's amazing.
But as far as the dive team, there was 13 of us.
Yeah. Does that include like the surface support kind of people?
No, and that's where it was very military run. Obviously, the Thais were in charge of everything.
Okay.
We had 50 U.S. Marines come over.
Oh wow.
We had they were our sort of contact point. They were the ones looking after us a little bit. We sort of fell under their hierarchy. Whereas 25 Australian police, 1,000 Thai military, and then sort of there. So, surface supply, there was tons. There was it was a base camp there. It was quite impressive when you get there. You sort of walk up there, and there's probably 200 press. There was there was a team of like 30 guys pumping scuba tanks.
Slightly intimidating.
Yeah,
almost.
You're going like, oh man, like this. They weren't messing around. But as far as the actual dive team, there was 13 of us.
Wow. So what were, I guess, some of the hardest challenges with the rescue? Other than just, I mean, obviously there's like depth and there are things like that, but what were some of the, was there some unique challenges to this other than your?
I mean, it's kind of just obviously the cave itself. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, again, just because the nature of how the situation even arose in the first place, it's.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there has been situations where people have gotten sort of stuck while cave diving and, found air pockets and people have gone in and rescued them. But those situations, it's using equipment malfunction or.
Right.
But the person you're pulling out is a certified cave diver, or they can swim. In this situation, we had 13 kids who couldn't swim.
Yeah.
So, if you start looking at anyone who scuba dives will know that's the most intense open water course in history.
Yeah. Yeah. No kidding.
So, I mean that was the option. I mean the number one. I mean the logistics was a thing. It's an hour hike in, which is quite quite treacherous towards the end. It's obviously. Full of mud and 45 degrees, and we had one broken leg, and so it wasn't like you strolled into it.
Yeah.
So getting the gear in there, we had a Chinese engineering team that actually came in and was like this is kind of inefficient, so they got a rock climbing team in, bolted all the stuff to the roof, and actually made a pulley system to bring all the tanks in. So you're walking in, you're walking in, and all of these like scuba tanks are just flying over your head on this pulley system.
Wow. That's fantastic. Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, no, they kind of went in there like, yeah, this isn't really working. So
wow.
I mean, so it's logistics was insane, and for us, long walk in, and we were doing like 8-10 hour days in there. So we'd have one military carrying our gear for us, and just a sheer number of people and the communication, and like it's crazy to think to be.
So how long did it take to actually get into where the kids were?
I never actually went all the way to the end. They were pretty closed off. So it was the 4 primary rescue divers. So obviously that's the UK team, and then the 4 Navy SEALs who swam in there. Not everyone kind of forgets that when the kids got found. 4 Navy SEALs, Thai Navy SEALs, swam back there and stayed with the kids the whole time until they got taken out.
Yeah.
Which at that point in time was a pretty ballsy move because. And we were going through ideas of how we were going to do it. One of the options was still they were going to spend 4 months in there until the water went down and they could walk out.
Wow.
Not knowing how it is. So when these 4 Navy SEALs went in there, they were, they didn't have there was a pretty good chance that they were going to spend 4 months in there.
Wow.
Until they,
That's quite the willingness to sacrifice.
Yeah. I mean, 2 of them were doctors and the idea was kind of there. So, I mean, but in your first question, it would take about... Again, an hour walk into Sump 3. That's where the Navy SEALs were based, and that's where we had like a triage center. That was sort of like the operational room inside the cave. To be fair, and from that point on, it was I'd say about 3 hour dive hike. Obviously, Sump diving. So it was a long way. They were 4 kilometers in.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what were some of the when you obviously it was successful. You guys walk away. What are some of the things that you kind of take away or debrief from it as far as how you maybe could have improved it or things like that, or what were the highlights of it? Or
I mean, you can't really improve it. I mean, after each day, we always had a debrief as you normally do, and we definitely moved things around and became a little bit more efficient. I think under the circumstances, I don't think you could have done much better with what you had. I think.
Yeah. Well, it was successful, so I guess it couldn't have been a better outcome.
I mean, the idea was if it's not broke, don't fix it a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, we obviously, you could tweak small things, but, as the rescue sort of commenced, everyone had to make sure they stayed in the exact same position. They didn't want us changing roles so that you knew exactly how your station or your role in that day was supposed to go.
Get good at that one.
I mean, I was in a little bit of a precarious situation because my dive partner got sick after the first day of the rescue. So he left. So then we brought one of the new British guys up with me on day 2.
Yeah.
And then on the last day when we were bringing 5 out because we had 4 and the coach, he's the 5th diver that they brought up. So that I was by myself. So each day was a little bit different for me, but that was just my bad luck, I guess.
Yeah.
Sit in a cave by 8 hours by yourself wasn't the most ideal situation for day 3.
Yeah, no kidding, eh? Yeah. So in total, it took once you guys got to them, it was 3 days to get them out, or.
Oh no, not much. I think when they got found, which was 9 days after they were in, so
Okay.
it took 9 days to find them,
Okay.
and then it took us another 7 days before we started the rescue.
Oh, okay.
When they found them, no one went in the cave for the next 3 days. We had some rain issues.
Yeah.
So there's some safety from our side that we had to watch out for, and they're trying to spend time to formulate a plan.
For sure. Yeah.
So it's no one went in for 3 days, and then the weather sort of lightened up, and that's when the support team that I was a part of, there's maybe 5 of us, we spent the next 3 days going into the cave and getting some of the lines together and trying to get rid of some of the line traps that we had run across, and
trying to make it as safe as possible.
Yeah, I think we put in 65 tanks between the 5 of us over the 3 or 4 days. So we'd have our side mount tanks on, and we'd have bungeed 4 tanks in a big bundle and strapped them between our legs, and we'd pull those through the cave and station those throughout, that we could make sure that the cave was ready if they ever did sort of. And that's what happened. It was they had an idea. They're like, we were running out of time, so like, okay, we're going tomorrow, and because we had sort of staged it up and got it all prepared, we had the ability to do that. Wow.
So when you say found them, I think for a lot of people they're thinking cave. You go into the end and you find them at the end of the cave, but it's not. Was it? I mean, you got to actually search around to find how to get to them, wasn't it? Or?
Oh yeah, I mean that's the amazing part. I was a little bit late to that part, and the divers that were doing the initial search, I mean, respect, because I mean I found it quite not difficult, but it's a very intense situation where you're dealing with sort of a little bit of flow in the water, but you're doing it with zero visibility. You can't see a thing.
Wow.
And for us, we were just following a line.
Yep.
But for them, they didn't have a line. They were putting the line in.
Yeah, they're doing everything by feel.
Yeah, so I mean, but that took them 7 days to get back to the kids, because they have to go and station. They're having to. They had a rough. I mean, the cave had been mapped when it was dry, and the guy was actually there.
Oh, okay.
So that was Vern. He obviously became famous for the Elon Musk thing at the end. But so they had a rough idea sort of where to go, but I mean, you had to obviously go very slow, and you're feeling around. I'm on TV here.
That's cool. It's all good.
So I mean, you obviously had to go very slow, and that's they're sort of staging back and forth. So again, what took them 8 days to do, we could do in 3 hours at the end.
Right.
As far as trying to find the way and go through.
Yeah, because now you're direct right now.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was very impressive for them trying to put this line in. That was a big job.
Yeah, that's huge.
And it almost didn't happen. I mean, I don't think anyone's really known about it yet, but I mean, when they found the kids, it was going to be the last sort of day that they were going to try.
Really, eh?
And they were bringing the line in, and what happened was, if the kids were another 20 meters deep in the cave, they would have been found. Because they took a line in, the line that they were actually putting in, it would have ended in 15, 20 meters. They would have had to stop, turn around, and come back, and that was probably the last day that they were, they were going to try. So, if it was, we're talking about 10, 15 meters difference in where the kids were situated in the cave, and this whole thing might not have happened.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And then you guys obviously pulled them out one at a time, kind of thing. It looked like there were some really tight spots, and
I mean, it was one at a time. So the way it worked was there was sort of 4 primary rescue divers, and the idea was that one of them would escort a kid from beginning to end, so that they could monitor sort of the health situation and gas, and
for sure.
And then there was 6 of us that were stationed at specific spots inside the cave to assist on that certain area that we're going through. So it made it a little bit easier, and with the technology that we need, we had them on full face masks, so that we could try to mitigate the risk of drowning as much as possible. We don't have regulators. The kids were sedated a bit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's where the doctors came in. They were, I mean, the biggest stress that we had. I mean, the biggest issue we had was stress.
Yep.
I mean.
Yeah, because they'd be breathing like crazy if they weren't.
Well, I mean, for someone who can't swim, who's not familiar with water, I think even for a normal diver, that's a normal recreation diver, you put them in those conditions and they're not going to fare well. So the idea was to keep them calm a little bit, keep them a little more manageable.
For sure,
so that's where the Australian doctors came in and played a pivotal role in making this kind of happen. But obviously, we had to worry about now regulators falling out if they if they were a little bit more sedated. So we have them on full face masks.
Yeah.
So I mean, you can see the amount of thought that went in and the plan that went through was very strategic.
Yeah.
Some in the sedation stuff, there's actually a chemical that blocks saliva because they're worried about saliva being built up into the full face mask.
Oh wow, yeah.
So I mean, they thought about every angle when they were trying to figure out the best way to do it. Like I say, there's obviously quite a lot of risk, but there was no zero risk option for this. So
yeah,
it's just the way it worked out.
Wow. So what? I guess moving away from that, I mean, that's like a once in a lifetime experience.
I'll never see this one again,
and probably never hope to either.
Yeah.
But so what would you take away, like when you look at other caves and there's situations where there is going to be need to be rescues or and stuff like that? Is there something you can take from that as far as like almost forming? Here's some of the things some of the hazards that we maybe didn't think about before, or some things like that, or.
I mean, I was even talking to some of the divers here in Calgary, and there's a lot of sump diving and dry caving around here, and
yeah.
Again, I think the biggest difference is that most time in a rescue, the person who's in that situation, has experience to help you get them out. Help you type situation. Where this was just such a weird freak of timing and nature and a situation where you have people that wouldn't even normally be in that position.
Yeah.
So, I think. Yeah, I'm not sure it's going to like revolutionize anything because again, it's such a rare situation.
For sure, yeah.
I was talking to other people over the last couple of months, and usually it's sort of a dry cave situation where someone breaks a leg and they have to figure out how to get them out because they can't swim, and maybe sort of similar techniques might be used, but how far that sort of trickles down, I don't know.
Well, I know like here, I know there's a group that's doing cave diving here, and like there's no rescue team. Yeah. As far as like fire departments and stuff, they don't train rescue for that. So
no, I was talking with the organizers here, and I think she's part of that group we're talking about. So
yeah,
in that situation, you'd be rescuing your friends.
Yeah,
I mean that's what
exactly.
that's sort of what's coming. Is the people that you're calling, or the people that you're probably used to diving with on the weekend.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's inherent risk in anything that you sort of do like that. So if you want to be 100% safe, then I think you stay at home.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely right. So what got you into cave diving originally or and things like that?
I think when you get into diving, and it's I got into diving just for this lifestyle side of it. I started in Australia when I was backpacking around, and as you get more into technical diving, it's just a natural progression that you sort of want to go to. It's the thought of sort of going to places that not a lot of people get to go, and
for sure.
I mean, for me, it's my favorite type of diving. Either caves or wrecks. Visually, I think it's the most stimulating. Each one's a little bit different. You never know what's going to happen around that sort of corner.
Yeah.
So
kind of an explorer feeling too, right?
I mean, I like the technical side of things. I like sort of having to pre-plan things and have structure to things.
Yeah.
Where on the more recreational side, it's kind of like, just dive till you stop, and here you have to sort of pre-plan if this happens, if that happens, if that breaks, if this breaks, and
have a spare this.
That's sort of like the methodical side of things. Well, I actually like I think anyone who heart doesn't start beating a little bit when you go on these dives, you're in it for the wrong reason. I think so there is a little bit of the that aspect that I think everyone enjoys.
Yeah. So I guess we're at Divescapes here in Calgary, and you were speaking here, or is that?
Yeah. They contacted me a couple months ago, and I guess it's an awesome dive show. I'm really excited to hear some of the other talks. To be honest.
Yeah.
You got some of the heroes of the dive industry here. I just listened to Richie Kohler talk, and that sort of blew me away, and I can't wait to hear some of the hyperbaric medicine and stuff. So I'm here more as a fan than anything else, to be fair.
Well, I think for scuba divers, this is like
I was for Calgary to get some of these names up here, I was quite impressed.
Well, I've been impressed with it just because it's like Canada's premier, like it's the biggest dive expo in Canada, and that's pretty good for a landlocked province.
Well, yeah, I just learned that Calgary has more divers per capita than anywhere in North America, I'm told.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Yeah, that's what Charlene was telling me, and I was like, wow. So, you can sort of see the enthusiasm.
Yeah. Everybody wants to go to an ocean somewhere. So.
Well, I mean, I just think, if you're going to take it that seriously here, I mean, it's kind of nice because you're going to get some pretty serious people here. You have to take that much dedication and to sort of to do it then. So I'm looking forward to sort of Q&A after where people are going to ask some real questions,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I don't know if I really appreciate you coming and sitting down and chatting.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Well, welcome to Calgary. I hope you enjoy the rest of the show.
I used to live here for a bit, actually.
Oh, did you?
My brother lived here for 8 years, so
okay.
I ended up spending about 8 months here one time. So
yeah.
I'm quite familiar with Calgary. It's always good to come back and see the friends.
And you've been in Thailand how long, you said?
Been in Thailand a year and a half.
Oh, okay.
So I got quite a little whirlwind tour coming up here, and then I go home for a bit, and then I'm speaking at DEMA.
Okay.
And then I seem to be hanging around with Navy SEAL. I go to Indonesia and train their Navy SEALs for 2 weeks.
Nice.
Yeah, seem to be hanging around with a lot of Navy SEAls lately.
Well, that's not a bad group, I suppose.
We'll
Good friends to have.
Yeah, exactly. Put them on speed dial.
Right, yeah, exactly. Right on. Well, we'll let you get back to the show and everything. So
Excellent.
Thank you very much.
No worries. Thanks very much.
Awesome. All right, so we're here with Lee from the Aquatic Biosphere Project, and we're at Divescapes, Calgary. So tell us a little bit about that.
Oh, the Aquatic Biosphere Project is an exciting new project that's coming up. It's an award-winning idea that's coming out of Edmonton at the moment.
Okay.
And basically, we want to capture the story of water in a groundbreaking facility.
Yeah.
If you can imagine, it's a bit of a cousin to an aquarium. The Biosphere Project is the major aspect of it. If you can imagine something like Vancouver Aquarium and the education, the outreach that they do into the communities to teach people about the fish and the water systems,
okay,
mixed with the stories that the Royal Tyrrell tells in that linear fashion. Right?
Oh, okay.
So not a lot of education in terms of fish and aquatic biodiversity comes this side of the Rocky Mountains.
Yeah.
And yet this is where the story of water starts. We have the glaciers, we have the mountains.
Yeah.
It flows through the limestone, it flows across the prairies. Everything we do impacts it, and it has such an impact on us.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and then it goes north and south and east.
Yeah.
And circles back through the oceans back to us.
Yeah.
And all the stories along the way, the cultures, the geography, the geology. There's so many different ways we can tell the story of water.
Yeah.
And we want to capture them all.
Now, you had mentioned that you want to disassociate a little bit from the term aquarium.
Yes.
Because I think when people think aquarium, they think SeaWorld.
Yeah.
And that's not what this is. This is not capturing whales and sharks.
That's right.
Yeah.
You can consider SeaWorld a distant cousin.
Yes.
Of
the shunned distant cousin.
That branch. Anyways, yeah, no. Sort of more like Vancouver Aquarium minus the whales. So we want to capture the education and the story, and really change the conversation away from the SeaWorld thing. This is the aquarium of the future, and what we have envisioned and the support behind it. This will be a keystone kind of project that, if people want to develop their own aquariums, they will take a good hard look at what we're doing first.
Okay.
So
now, is it going to focus mainly on like the local aquatic environments and that kind of thing?
Absolutely, that's a big part of it. So if you could imagine coming through the doors, here's the Rocky Mountains. You're seeing ice, you're seeing waterfalls, and pools, and in these pools maybe trout, things that start where the story of water starts. The macro life, the bugs, the insects, and then we're going to follow this all across the prairies, and like I mentioned before, our water goes to the Arctic, it goes to Hudson's Bay, and it goes all the way to the Gulf of Mexico.
Wow. Yeah.
Right? There's a lot to talk about there.
Absolutely.
And then it gets to the ocean. So everything we do impacts that because it's a long ways to the ocean.
Yeah.
And it cycles through the whole world.
Right.
And that's another story, another face of this.
Yeah.
So the coral reefs, the Indian Ocean, the mangrove forest, the cenotes.
Yeah.
What Christina said in her presentation with the cenotes and the human impact, I think that's a great story that we could probably tell in this.
Yeah, absolutely.
With displays and hands-on models.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the scope of it. The broad brush strokes.
Yeah. Well, I really like the fact that it's telling the story of water. I think that's a really cool way to go about it. So very fresh outlook on it.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's how we change the conversation.
And right now it's based out of Edmonton.
Oh yes, right now we're in talks with the city of Edmonton. We want to be based in Alberta because of the Rockies, because that's where the story starts.
Yeah.
Right now we're in talks with Edmonton to get a bit of space, possibly in the Northlands redevelopment.
Okay.
Because that's a traditional meeting space.
Right.
The Coliseum there is world famous for the hockey.
Yeah.
We're still talking about it 30 years later.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what better thing to have there?
Yeah.
A gem in the crown of Alberta.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so how has the response been, like from governments, local, provincial?
It's been very positive.
Yeah.
We've had very little negative feedback on this project.
Okay.
And the negative feedback we have, you've already touched on with the aquarium thing, captive animals. Some people have a bit of an issue with that. It is important for telling the story.
Yeah.
And we've got to consider Monterey Bay Aquarium and Vancouver Aquarium, they used to draw water from the ocean. They no longer do.
Right.
Because it's too contaminated.
Wow.
That's a powerful message.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? And that's part of what we're doing. So any negative feedback, that's kind of where it cycles. Overwhelming positive aside from that. This is something the public really wants to see, something new in Alberta, something we can call our own. Right?
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
World class. And we're good at that stuff. The Calgary Zoo is awesome.
Yeah.
Head smashed in Buffalo Jump and Royal Tyrrell. Awesome.
Yeah.
So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, and we need another.
Absolutely.
Now we need to tell the water.
The water.
And the story of the water, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So having it at Edmonton it's like Edmonton having its own Calgary Zoo, that kind of caliber thing.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool in its own. If that doesn't pan out for whatever reason, anywhere in Alberta on the side of the Rockies is okay. Yeah. It takes about 1 million people to run an aquarium, or to feed into an aquarium.
Yeah.
And we've got 3.5 million.
So yeah. We have the population.
We could do it over and over.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah.
Well, and it'd be a fantastic thing for schools and for things like that, for field trips and all sorts of stuff. So,
yeah.
Right on. Absolutely. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking time.
Oh, yeah, my pleasure.
Awesome. Thanks a lot. All right, so I'm here with Charlene Barker. Obviously, we're at Divescapes again. And you were one of the organizers. Also, you have Aquasport Scuba.
Yes.
So, what was it like bringing this all together?
It was pretty hairy. We definitely like to fly by the seat of our pants a bit, but the team that put this together is a pretty amazing team and have some amazing contacts throughout the world that made this world-class conference with world-class speakers.
Yeah. Well, that's the amazing thing. You guys have had some amazing speakers.
Yeah.
Like the one we just watched. I know. I'm still kind of in shock about it, but for those who don't know, we just watched the presentation on the Thai cave rescue, and that was absolutely amazing.
It was. What they went through was unbelievable.
And he was kind of he was the last edition of the speakers, wasn't he?
He was. He only joined the team, I think, about 6 weeks ago, agreed to actually come.
Wow.
And he didn't tell us when his flight was. We found out on Monday night. By the way, come pick me up at 9:46. Okay.
Wow. So, so this Divescapes happens every 2 years.
Correct.
And it rotates. Right now, it's rotating between Calgary and Edmonton.
Yes.
Okay, and so obviously next time it's in Edmonton.
Yes.
How many people would you say go through the gates throughout the whole weekend, kind of at a total?
I'm going to guess probably between 300 to 400 people, probably leaning a little bit closer to 400 people. I'm not positive. I haven't heard the numbers, but that would be my guess.
Wow. So what is some of the feedback that you've got, I guess, from the past, or how have things changed and evolved?
Definitely our level of speakers keep getting more and more impressive, and every year, I question, how can the next one be better than this? Because this one was just so amazing.
Yeah.
And every time it happens, it's a more impressive show.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, for the average diver who's just recreational, what's kind of the big key thing that they can see here?
This is more than just about divers. I think anyone can come here and learn about adventure, wildlife, experiences, passion. You can learn more about animals. It's just an amazing experience all the way around for anyone, not just divers.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so, I noticed there's a few travel companies and stuff. Has there been a lot more? Have you seen the support start to grow kind of internationally for this? Is there? Because it's not just Alberta-based companies, I guess, that are here with their booths.
That's correct. Yeah, there definitely has been a little bit more. We have more booths this time than we did last time. And we have an amazing lineup of things that companies have donated for silent auction. to help support this event, because this event does come to, a fair bit of money, and our objective is to break even.
Right on. That's always good.
Yeah, it's always good to break even, and that we achieve every time. And it's due to the support of all the distributors and the local dive stores and the divers in the area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right on. And it seems like a very cooperative thing. There's dive shops that I guess technically compete with each other throughout the year, but they all come together here.
They totally all come together here. This show has every local dive shop in the area, and everyone's here to just promote diving as one unit, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah, that is amazing.
We all benefit from supporting each other.
Right on.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Awesome. Hey guys, thanks for watching the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Be sure to check out my podcast every Sunday called Living Undefined. It's on iTunes, Google Play, Podbean, everywhere. And also, if you like this video and you want to see more of these videos, make sure you give it a like and share it, but also subscribe. And we'll have more videos coming out. I'm going to be starting to put my podcast out on YouTube, so be sure to subscribe so that you can see the latest and greatest from my podcast. Also, I have a Patreon account. The link will be in the description of this video. If you want to show your love for the show, for my podcast, and for my YouTube channel, head over to Patreon and show your love. All right, thanks, guys.